Hello everyone. Today we're going to be looking at Discord's privacy policy. As is tradition, I want to set some expectations before we get started. We will be using the privacy visualizer tool I made to better help to retain what we've already read. If you want to follow along, you can go to privacyvisualizer.com or by following the link in the description, which will also have all the related links to this privacy policy reading. As a quick recap, we will use blue to represent data that is collected. We will use yellow or orange to represent shared data, and red to represent data that is sold. And we will be using the definition of sold as described in the California Consumer Privacy Act, otherwise known as the CCPA. As we do with all readings on this channel, we will be reading this with the assumption of worst case scenario. This means that if they mention that some data is optional, we will treat it as if it were collected, shared, or sold, depending on the surrounding context. We're reading this from the perspective of someone who clicks yes on whatever pop-ups might come up. The one exception will be for business-to-business things. Most businesses come up with their own contracts and policies, so it's not really relevant for the average person. Most people are not representing businesses, so we will ignore those sections if they come up. As a reminder, the purpose of the privacy visualizer is to help us retain what we've read. It is not meant to summarize what we've read to others. You'll see as we read along that it oversimplifies things too much, and it doesn't give a full picture like this video would in its entirety. Please avoid using the privacy visualizer as a tool to summarize privacy policies. It is a tool to help you read privacy policies. If you want to learn more about that, check out the video in the description on the main channel. Having a look at Discord's homepage, it's colorful, it's fun, little 3D avatars here and there, that's great. We're going to scroll down to the bottom, and I have this really zoomed in, but it's going to be under the privacy tab here. And we can actually see that this was last updated a whole year ago, which I don't know if you know, that is pretty uncommon for these major policies to be updated in at least that long of a time span. There have absolutely been some laws that have changed. So if their policy is still legally valid, that's a good thing. Spoilers for those that didn't watch the original, this policy is not as bad as I was expecting when I read it the first time. And given some of the news they've been in, in the past couple of, a few months ago, I'm surprised this hasn't changed. So that's good to know. Discord privacy policy, effective September 29th, 2025. Last updated August 29th, 2025. We're going to skip the table of contents because we're going to read the whole thing. So we have a welcome. This privacy policy explains how we collect, use, store, protect, and share your personal information through our services. If you reside in the European Economic Area, otherwise known as the EEA, Discord Netherlands BV is the data controller of your personal information collected through these services defined in our terms of service. For everyone else, Discord Incorporated is the data controller. It's important that you read this entire policy, but here's a summary to get you started. Historically, I have not been a fan of summaries of policies, especially from the companies making the policies. Again, it's for the same reasons that I don't like people using the privacy visualizers to summarize things. This is not going to give us enough information, which we will see. We care a lot about privacy. We are committed to enabling you to build meaningful connections around the joy of playing games through voice, video, and text features. Respecting user privacy is a key part of that mission. We don't sell your personal information. Our business is funded through your subscriptions, paid products, and sponsored content, not based on selling your personal information to third parties. Again, I've read this. This is true. They don't sell data, which is nice. We limit what information is required. We require the information that enables us to create your account, provide and maintain our services, meet our commitments to our users, and satisfy our legal requirements. The rest is optional. We deeply care about safety. Our dedicated trust and safety team works hard to keep our users safe. We also use certain information to help us identify violations of our terms and policies, such as our community guidelines, in order to prevent harmful content or conduct on the service. And we give you control. We give you the ability to control your privacy on Discord. I'm not a big fan of summaries. This is not enough information to actually summarize the policy, because the summary doesn't tell you, hey, what do they collect? A little bit about Discord. Discord enables you to build meaningful connections around the joy of playing games through voice, video, and text features. Whether you're part of a club, gaming group, or just a handful of friends that want to spend time together, Discord makes it easy to connect with friends. Our services has the same meaning as defined in the terms of service. They include the Discord app, which can be accessed on mobile, web, desktop, console, or even a connected home appliance. I didn't know that. Any device with a web browser and internet connection. We also have a website, blog, and support center, and we may collect your information through other means like surveys, emails, and social media. If we build another product, our services include that too. As explained in our terms of service, we allow users to add content to the services in a number of different ways, including via direct messages in a smaller and larger spaces. If you share content within larger spaces, that content may be accessed by many people, including people you do not know. For example, some servers are available in the server discovery section of the app and do not require an invite link to join. Other server owners may publish their server invite link on other public websites. Anyone can access these servers, and you should be aware that server owners and admins set these permissions, like the size of the server, and the permissions may change over time. We may also use content posted in larger spaces to help us develop, improve, and power our services, including features that help you catch up on conversations and safety features that identify harmful content on these services and support the enforcement of our terms of service and community guidelines. These things are important to us, and we believe they will make Discord even better for our users. We always try to let you know the type of space you are in, although we don't control where the invite links are shared or the permissions for that server. You can limit the extent to which your content is used for these purposes as described in the How to Control Your Privacy section below. You can learn more about our approach to safety and content moderation, including how we use your information for these purposes in our Safety Center. You should take all of this into account when you are using our services and choose the spaces, features, and settings that are most appropriate for your content. We don't make money from selling your personal information to third parties. Our business is funded through subscriptions, paid products, and sponsored content like quests and other sponsored formats. Cool. So we shouldn't see any red by the end of this policy reading. The information we collect. We collect certain information when you use Discord. This includes information you provide us, information we collect automatically, and information we receive from other sources. Information you provide to us. Account information. When you create a Discord account, you can come up with a username and password and provide a way of contacting you, such as an email address and/or phone number. You also need to provide your birthday. In some cases, we may require additional information to verify your age. You may be required to verify your account or provide additional information like a verified phone number to your account. You may also have the option to add your name or choose a display name. So we're going to call that contact info because email address, phone number, and we're going to use identifiers since usernames are kind of specific to you, and that would also potentially contain information about verifying your age, like a license. I want to plant a seed in the future for this category, everybody. Remember the importance of this category for future privacy policies, okay? Content you create. This includes any content that you upload to the services. For example, you may write messages or posts, including drafts, send voice messages, create custom emojis, or post other content that you create with features that we develop. You may also upload and share files through the services. This also includes your profile information and the information you provide when you create servers. We generally do not store the contents of video or voice calls or channels. If we were to change that in the future, for example, to facilitate content moderation, we would disclose that to you in advance. We also don't store streaming content when you share your screen, but we do retain the thumbnail cover image for the stream for a short period of time. We may build features that help users engage with voice and video content, like create or send short recordings. Again, we're qualifying everything as worst case scenario. So we are going to say user content because like anything that you write, anything that you record and send in voice messages, anything that you send, like upload, anything you upload and share files, like that's user content. That's stuff you create. We're just going to have to, again, based on the criteria that we said at the beginning of this reading, usually or generally means yes, right? We're assuming worst case scenario. So they do have the potential to collect and store the contents of video calls or voice calls. So what does retain for a short period thumbnail mean? I would assume, that it's stored during the stream itself. We might see something like that later on in the retention part of the policy. I don't know if they get into that specifically, but my assumption on how they're phrasing that is that they store it so that other people can see it while the stream is occurring. And then when the stream is done, then it's removed. Because saving a bunch of thumbnails takes up a ton of data, and I can't imagine they want to store all of that. Payment information. If you buy any paid services through Discord, you need to submit a valid payment method and associated billing information, including your full name and billing address. Our payment processors, like Stripe and PayPal, receive and process your payment information. Depending on the processor, we may also receive and store certain billing information, including the last 4 digits of the credit card number associated with the transaction. If you sell something through Discord, you may be required to provide additional information to our payment processors, such as bank account information to facilitate payments, tax identification information, and copies of government-issued identification required to identify users in accordance with regulatory obligations. If we decide to process our own payments in the future, we would receive and process this information ourselves. This, as some people called out, implies that payment information is shared because they're sharing it with payment processors like Stripe and PayPal. So we are going to be marking off financial information, and we're going to be marking that off as orange because that is shared data. And everything in here would be related to the financial information there. Do we see anything about purchases, purchase history? It's tough. I do like them to explicitly call out purchase history, so I'm not going to mark it here. I will say, though, that your full name and billing address would go to those third parties as well. So we are going to do contact information there. And billing address arguably is your location, so we'll mark that too. Yes, I do use Discord. If I wasn't a YouTuber, I wouldn't have one. It's not because I dislike this privacy policy, for full transparency. I actually like how they write this, ultimately. I just don't particularly care for the platform as a whole. Information from actions you take. We collect information about your use of Discord and the activities on the services. This includes information such as the friends you add, the users, bots, and apps you engage with, the servers or other communities you join and participate in, your roles in servers, content moderations decisions you made, information about purchases, hey, there we go, or sales you make through Discord, including what you purchased or sold, and other related actions. We may also collect limited information from your device while Discord is running, such as the game you are playing. You can control the extent which we collect, use, and display this information as described in the How to Control Your Privacy section below. Usage data is how you use the service, right? But they do call out purchase history as well, which is fun. If you don't know, you can request your information from Discord directly. Like, you can say, hey, can I have a copy of my data? I highly recommend you do it because it really puts this section into perspective as to what that means. I've wanted to show this off for a long time, but there's not really a great way of doing it without doxing myself, because it is a lot of information. This sentence here, collect limited information from your device while Discord is running, that includes regular check-ins that occur, I think, every 5 minutes if Discord is running in the background. So anytime you click on a thing, that is notated, right? That's collected data. You can see the timestamp, the location, everything. Not only that, anytime you click anything in Discord, also if it's just sitting in the background and you're not actively using it, they do that check-in every 5 minutes. If you use a VPN halfway through your session with Discord, they can not only see the original IP address you were communicating from, but also the new one. So you can they can actually see when you switch to a VPN if you're using it system-wide, which is crazy. This sentence, it's really hard to understand what it looks like until you request that data yourself, and I highly recommend it. It takes 30 days to get it because it's a ton of information, but you'll see every time you clicked on a channel to look at, they list with timestamps, location, IP address, everything. Every time that you react to a message, anytime that you go into a text channel, anytime that you go into a voice channel. It is fascinating. And it's actually part of the reason Discord doesn't encourage users to use third-party services to access Discord, because those apps have access to the exact same data, and the amount of data that it actually is terrifying. Imagine giving all of this. So we're already talking about Discord having access to all of this information, right? Imagine that being handed off to some random third-party developer that you could be doing anything with that data, that could be selling that information without telling you. There's a reason you shouldn't use Discord third-party apps to access Discord itself, because that app can access all of that information I just talked about. And it's specifically this sentence, which is way underplaying what it actually is. So again, if you haven't already, request your information from Discord so you can actually see what this sentence looks at. It's so much data. It's so much data. It's crazy. Information from optional features. Certain features, like contact syncing, may require that you provide additional information or grant such information for them to work. This includes if you choose to interact with our sponsored content, enable integrations, or authorize third-party services to share data with us. For example, when you link a music streaming or game account, we may collect information about that account, such as the song you were listening to or the game you were playing, in order to display that information on your profile or your status if you have chosen to do so. So we're going to mark that off as contact information, or contacts, because they can access your contacts if you allow them to. Yeah, you need to be like ridiculously careful with modded clients, like insanely cautious. There's a reason Discord doesn't allow it and can ban your account for it, because they collect an insane amount of data, and they know that. They know how dangerous it is. It is so much more than you're expecting. I promise you. Like, you definitely should not be using modded clients. I'm going to count linking third-party services as other data, just because that doesn't really fit into any of the other categories. Discord in the browser does actually make a big difference. Yes, good question. It is definitely significantly less data. Other information you provide to us directly. You may have the option to submit additional information as you use Discord. For example, you may participate in surveys when you provide feedback on the services or submit information to our Discord support teams. Again, we're just going to call that other data. Information we collect automatically. We also collect information automatically when you use Discord. This includes information about your device. Oh, here we go. We collect information about the device you are using to access the service. For example, this includes information like your IP address, operating system information, browser information, and information about your device settings, such as your microphone and or camera. Nothing new to add there. That falls under usage data and identifiers, and technically location for the IP address. Information about your use of the apps or websites. For example, we collect log and event information related to how and when you use our services. This is what I was talking about. So such as the pages, servers, and channels you visit, the activities you engage with, the features you use, and surfaces or embedded content you interact with. Like if you click a picture to make it full screen, that's documented. It's amazing. It's so detailed. It's amazing. Like not in a good way. You know what I mean? That's what's like really, really, really frustrating to me. Discord has a predator problem, and they collect an obscene amount of data that could absolutely, this information alone would be plenty to get people in trouble that need to be arrested straight up. And they're kind of bad about it. I don't know that I would say that they're as bad as Roblox, but like they could be significantly better about this. And I know that they try, but like you'll see when you get that information back, it is insane that they actively have bot problems and predator problems. Like honestly, it's crazy to me. And again, that's going to count as usage data. Other information that we collect automatically. When you take certain actions on other sites, we may receive information about you. For example, when we advertise Discord on third-party platforms, if you click on the ad, we may receive information about which ad you saw and on which platform. Technically going to call that browsing data since they can see information about the other places that you have clicked on. Similarly, we may also receive certain information when you click on a referral link, such as which website you came from. Again, that's browsing data. We may receive information from cookies, which are small text files placed on your computer or device. I'll have a link to that in the description of this video if you want to learn how cookies actually work. And similar technologies. You can find out more about Discord's cookie usage and how you can manage your cookie permissions in our cookie policy. Information we receive from other sources. We may receive information about you from other sources, including from other users and third parties, and combine that information, other information we have about you. For example, if you interact with our social media account on another platform, we may receive certain information about you, like your username on that platform. Similarly, when we advertise on other services, we receive information about your engagement with those ads. We may also receive information about you from advertisers and third-party data providers, such as demographic information and how you engage with our products and services outside of Discord. I am going to count demographic information as sensitive information. How we use your information. Under certain data protection laws like the GDPR, companies must have a legal basis or a valid reason to process your personal information. Discord relies on different legal bases to provide your information for the purposes described in this privacy policy. We use the information we collect, account information, content you create, payment information from actions you take, information used to enable optional features, other information you provide directly to us, information about your device, information about your use of the apps or websites, other information we collect automatically, and information we receive from other sources for the following reasons and according to these legal bases where applicable. For each reason, we describe how we process your information to achieve each purpose. This processing can include use of automated technologies such as machine learning systems that help us power and improve our services. In certain jurisdictions, we rely on consent, implied or express, to collect, use, and disclose personal information subject to limited exceptions. As a result, the legal bases below may not apply to you. Please see information about local privacy laws page located here. To fulfill our contract with you, to provide you with the services, we use your information to provide you with the Discord services. For example, when you start a video call, we process your images and audio to make that work. We similarly collect and store the messages you send and display them as you direct. We also use the information you provide to us to create and manage your account and to facilitate purchases. When you enable optional features like connecting your Discord account to other platforms, we use information to power that feature, like displaying what song you were listening to or game you are playing on another service within the Discord app. To meet our commitment to the Discord community, we work hard to try to make Discord a safe, positive, and inclusive place. To do so, we use information to monitor for and take action against users and content that violate our terms of service, community guidelines, and other policies. This includes responding to user reports, generating transcripts of content as part of our investigation, detecting fraud and malware, God, they need to do better with that one specifically, and proactively scanning attachments and other content for illegal or harmful activity. Again, oh my God, they need to get better about that. We also use certain information which may include content reported to us, content that violates our terms of service, and certain other content widely available on the services, such as public posts, usernames, avatars, banners, user profiles, server names, server icons, and server banners to create systems and models that can be automated to more swiftly detect, categorize, and take action against prohibited content or conduct. To contact you, we use your information to contact you in connection with your account, such as to verify or secure it with two-factor authentication. We may also use your information to contact you about important product or policy changes and to send you information about products you have purchased. To provide customer service, we use your information to respond to your questions about our products and services and to investigate bugs or other issues. And then for our legitimate business interests, to protect our services, we use your information to keep our services secure, to prevent misuse, and to enforce our terms of service and other policies against users who violate them, to report on our company's performance. We use your information to track the fundamental metrics of our business, to perform financial reporting, to respond to regulatory obligations, and to debug billing issues. To personalize the product, we use your information to personalize our services. This can include customizing your experience on Discord so that you see communities, activities, applications, features, or promotions from us, or other content that may be of interest to you. As discussed in the How to Control Your Privacy section below, you can choose to what extent we will use your personal information to personalize your Discord experience. To deliver relevant sponsored content, we use your information to help us surface sponsored content like quests or other sponsored formats that may be of interest to you. Again, as discussed in the How to Control Your Privacy section below, you can choose to what extent we will use your personal information to personalize your Discord experience. To improve our services, here's a new one we get to add. We use your information to help us understand how users interact with our services, what features or products users may want, to develop features that make Discord safer and better to use, or to otherwise understand and improve our services. This includes information about how you use our services and how servers are structured. We may also use certain content that is widely available to better understand, for example, what topics servers cover, and what content is most interesting within those servers. That's fascinating. That's really interesting. I don't remember that one from before. Similarly, you can limit to what extent we use personal information for these purposes. We're going to count that as diagnostics because that is a way to improve the functionality of their services. To advertise our services on Discord and other platforms, we are proud of the product we've built. We may tell you about our paid services and other features directly in the services and through our own channels, and we spend money advertising Discord on other platforms. As a part of that, We use certain information to assist the delivery of our advertising, to measure the effectiveness of advertisements for our own products, and to improve such advertisements in the future. To contact you, we may use information to let you know about products or services we think you'll like, to ask you for feedback about our services, or to tell you about experiments that might interest you. You may opt out of receiving such marketing communications. Where local laws require, we will obtain your consent before sending such communications. To comply with our legal obligations, we use your information in connection with potential legal claims when necessary and for compliance, regulatory, and auditing purposes. For example, we retain information where we are required by law or if we were compelled to do so by a court order or regulatory body. Also, when you exercise any of your applicable legal rights to access, amend, or delete your personal information, we may request additional information from you for the purpose of your confirming your identity. If I'm being honest, I think this last thing is completely fine, and I don't know why people get up in a tizzy when they need to validate that it's you asking that you delete your information, you know? And they don't want to be deleting other people's stuff. I think that's completely fair. With your consent, we may also collect and use personal information with your consent, such as to send you marketing communications and personalized sponsored content where legally required. You can revoke your consent at any time, mostly through our services directly, though note that you might not be able to use any service or feature that requires collection or use of that personal information. Fun fact, Discord does scrub a lot of metadata. We're going to get into that in the next video, funny enough. And then lastly, to protect someone's vital interests, we may collect or share personal data if we think that someone's life is in danger, for example, to help resolve an urgent medical situation. So that's fascinating. Urgent medical situation implies health data and also counts as shared because they specifically say that they're going to share it right there. Okay, how we disclose your information. When you tell us to. When you add your content to the services, you are telling us to create content that is available to certain people or communities. Who can access that information is determined by who can access that particular space. For servers, those permissions are set by the server owners or admins. They control whether a server requires an invite link or is open and accessible to anyone. And these permissions, like the size of the server, may change over time. Similarly, if you link your Discord account through a third-party service, like a music streaming service or gaming platform, or Patreon, notably, keep that in mind, embed content, interact with third-party content posted on Discord, interact with other users on other services who have linked their account, or participate in a server that has third-party features like bots enabled, again, Patreon's a good example, we may provide certain information to that service or to other Discord users that operate that content service or feature. So for example, when somebody signs up for my Patreon and they have their Discord paired up to their Patreon account, I can see their Discord username. And they also automatically get added to the Patreon Discord server. So by having that integration, I as a creator can see, even if you specifically don't want to join my server, or if I didn't even have a server, I would still be able to see your username. That's an example of a third party being able to access additional information outside of Discord. Additionally, if you purchase goods or services from other users on Discord, we may disclose certain information to these users in order to facilitate the delivery of goods and services or help them understand and improve their business. We may also disclose your information as you otherwise instruct us or provide us your consent to do so. Okay. Purchases, we're going to mark as shared. We also saw user content as a huge chunk of this. We're going to mark other data for the third-party services, because again, we didn't have a great category for that. Okay, I think we're good on that one. With our vendors, we may provide information to vendors we hire to carry out specific work for us. This includes payment processors like Stripe and PayPal. We already got that from an earlier section. That process transactions on our behalf, and cloud providers like Google that host our data and services. Ooh, that's interesting. That host our data and our services. That's everything, isn't it? Let's keep reading. But that by itself implies everything is shared because it's their data and the services. The services cover everything in this policy. We may also provide limited information to advertising platforms to help reach people we think will like our products and to measure the performance of our ads shown on those platforms. We do this to help bring more users to Discord and make our business more successful and provide only the information required to facilitate those services. This information may include the fact that you have installed our app or registered to use the Discord. So we definitely are going to count that as identifiers and usage data, because the fact that you have the app installed is information related to your usage of the service, and then registered for an account would imply that they could identify you specifically. We may also provide information to analytics and measurement partners to measure the effectiveness of sponsored content if you engage with it. For example, by starting a quest or clicking on other sponsored content. Again, that counts as usage data. To comply with the law, we may disclose information in response to request for information if we believe disclosure is required by law, including meeting national security or law enforcement requirements. Where allowed and feasible, we may attempt to provide you with prior notice before disclosing your information in response to a request. Our transparency report has additional information about how we respond to requests from government and law enforcement entities. We are going to actually have a quick peek at this, because I think this is actually one of the cool things that not a lot of services do. Okay, so I see they break it up into categories. So child safety, they had disabled 800,000 accounts for terrible content. Holy cow, that's crazy. 100,000, oh my God. This is actually legitimately depressing, because that's a lot and they still have a predator problem. Holy cow. 3 million accounts for deceptive practices. So stealing people's information, hateful conduct. That's crazy that actually promoting hate speech on Discord is 4 times less problematic than CSAM. That's crazy. That's horrifying. 6 accounts for misinformation. Oh, here we go. Here's even more specific examples. Actions taken on accounts. 1.6 million actions. 800,000 accounts were turned off. That is the almost, other than platform manipulation, that is the highest category. That's horrible. That's evil. Holy, oh my God. I kind of regret looking at this a little bit, because I was already very upset about this sort of thing. Yeah, this is horrifying. But transparency. This is transparent. I actually do appreciate that they're actually showing us how big of a problem this is. Holy cow. I cannot believe that is the most problematic category. That hurts my brain. So yeah, transparency reports. Those are available for free. That information, they do claim, is shared with the law. To comply with the law, that's part of the transparency report. They share this information. I knew it was a problem, but holy crap, 800,000 accounts for that specific type of content is mind-bending. So that's what they know of, but they absolutely have the capability of knowing about all of them, which is even more scary to me. Because if you request your data from them, you can see they have a very, very clear picture of what kind of user you are. Okay. To prevent serious harm, we may disclose information if we believe in good faith that it's necessary to prevent the death or serious harm to a person. Again, we're counting that as health shared. That makes sense. To enforce our policies and rights, we may disclose information if needed to enforce our terms of service, community guidelines, and any other policies, or to protect the rights, property, and safety of ourselves and others. With our related companies, we may provide information to our related companies, including parents, affiliates, subsidiaries, and other companies under common control and ownership. Sale, acquisition, or transfer of assets. We may disclose information if Discord is evaluating and or exchanging in a merger, acquisition, reorganization, bankruptcy, or sale, transfer, or change in ownership of Discord and or any of its assets. Aggregated or de-identified information. We may disclose information that has been de-aggregated or anonymized such that it cannot reasonably be used to identify you. For example, we may share aggregated user statistics in order to describe our business, features, or promotions to partners to the public. Data retention. We retain personal information until we determine it is no longer needed for the processing purposes for which we collected the retain, or for legal compliance. You can learn more about the data retention periods here. I wish this was in the privacy policy itself. I hate it when they make a whole extra document for it, because it's not like it's updated super frequently. They could keep it in there. There's no reason to make it a separate page, but let's have a quick little peek. Age verification data is deleted within 60 days. Backups are stored for 30 to 45 days. Compliance with legal obligations. it's basically until the legal thing goes away. That's pretty common. We see that a lot on this channel. To meet our safety and security commitments, we retain certain information like your email address and phone number for 180 days after deletion for trust and safety purposes. So if you delete your account, they keep it for an additional 180 days to exercise the rights of legal claims. Again, that's just, for 5 years. Anything related to customer support inquiries and requests to access information, that's retained for 5 years. I do like that they actually have like specific case-by-case basis. Again, transparency here is actually appreciated. So yeah, when you delete your account, it can take up to 45 days. I wish this was just in the policy itself. I don't love it when they separate these things into separate pages, but hey, whatever, it's there. We'll take it. Most companies don't even give specific timeframes like that, so we will take it. Also, just because we are past the shared information stuff, because of the lack of specificity with things like all of your data of our services complying with the law, we're going to count the rest of this. Let's see, if you delete your account, we continue to retain and display the content you shared with other users, but that content is no longer tied to your account. We do this in order to ensure that other users continue to have access to the content you shared with them. If you'd want to delete specific content, please do so before you delete your account. Holy cow, that sucks. You can delete specific content as described in the information you can directly delete from your services section above, or if you need help deleting content, you can write in to privacy@discord.com. If you deleted your account and you want to probably delete everything associated with it, I would highly encourage at least emailing them, seeing what they could do. But yeah, I did. Thank you for calling out for me to read that. Holy cow. That sucks. To be clear, that's also how it works on my website. If we go down to the privacy policy, anything that is posted on the forum is stored in a database for the functionality of the forum. You may delete anything at any time, and any data that is deleted from the server. In the case that you've deleted your account and you want your posts removed, I do need you to email me because there's no way to just do it. If you email me, I will 100% delete it for you. There is a way for me to do that as an administrator. So I get why they do it, because it's kind of like you're posting to a lot of public spaces, but that also includes DMs, which is harder because I don't allow DMs on my forum. It's too tricky to manage and, wrangle people in, and I just rather not deal with it, How we protect your information. We take a number of steps to help you protect your information. All information sent within our services is encrypted, both in the transit and at rest. For example, we use transport layer security, TLS, to encrypt text and images in transit. By the way, that's just how the internet works now. That's not a unique thing to Discord. That's technically the bare minimum. And then we also enforce technical and administrative access controls to limit which of our employees and contractors have access to non-public personal information. Voice and video communications on Discord are designed to be end-to-end encrypted. You can verify that these calls are encrypted in that service. Learn more about Discord's end-to-end encryption. You can help maintain the security of your account by configuring two-factor authentication. I want to look at that really quick. All audio, DMs, group messages, and voice channels and go live streams on Discord will require end-to-end encryption starting this year. Okay, so this is a new thing. This wasn't... I wonder why they changed it. That's going to have to be something I'll look into later, but that's interesting. Oh, right. How to control your privacy. This is a good section. I remember liking this section from the last time I read this. We believe that users should be able to tailor their Discord experience to their preferences, including privacy. And while local laws may require different things, we believe that our users should have at least the same basic ability to shape their experience no matter where they are in the world. Kind of like Steam. Steam kind of said that, right? That's pretty cool. Here's how you can control how we process your information, how to delete or correct certain information, and how to access your information. Users in certain places may have specific rights under the local laws. You can learn more about these in the information about local privacy laws page. Why is that a separate page? God, why? I just want to quickly peruse this to see if we got anything. Let's see, a collection. We collect... identifiers. This is usually a table. I'm really annoyed that they do it like this. So identifiers such as your username and address used to sign up, your phone number if you've chosen to provide it, personal information categories listed under the CCRS, such as name and phone number if you've chosen to provide it, characteristics of protected classifications under California or federal law such as age, commercial information, a record of what you've bought from Discord. So we got that financial data, payment information, internet or other networks, location information because of IP address, exactly, audio, electronic, visual, thermal, or factory, or other information such as photographs, video recordings, and voice recordings, account credentials such as your account login, contents of messages sent on the platform, inference data about you, like what content you may be interested in, and other information that identifies or can be reasonably associated with you. We already looked at that, so that seems to line up with what we've already looked at. And this is the other part that I care about. No sale of personal information. The CCPA sets forth obligations for businesses that sell or share personal information. Discord does not sell the personal information of our users as those terms are defined by the CCPA. Great. So that's that's something we care about the most, right? Because that's how we define the sale of data. That's cool. So we won't see any red because in the CCPA version, they don't sell it. So that's cool. I'm going to leave that section at that because I usually use the California version to like validate that we didn't miss anything painfully obvious. And it looks like their descriptions in the information we collect is actually good, which means that they're good at writing policies. Yay! That doesn't mean I necessarily love the contents of the policy, but like I like how it's written at the very least. It's actually transparent. I think technically usage data does count some of the search data because like you can search for things in Discord. That is more of a usage function versus a search function. This kind of implies like what you search on the internet really count. You know what though? There is one thing that I'm thinking about that might qualify as search data. Server discovery section of the app. Can you search with that function? Because I would count that as search if that does work with. There is a search bar right there. So if I type in Minecraft as an example, a ton of Minecraft. Yeah, I am absolutely counting search based on that. The server discovery section absolutely covers that. Cool. Thanks, everybody. Much appreciated. So yeah, we are absolutely counting that. And again, you can access them on public websites. Nice. We got a full bingo. We got full orange bingo. We love it. Yeah, we don't know that it's shared necessarily, but to do the function itself. Oh, you know what? I will request my data really quick, since that's one of the last things that I did. I will pin a comment in the cut version of this video. We're going to leave search blank for the rest of this, just because I don't specifically know. But when I get my data from Discord, I will look to see if that search for Minecraft in the Discover feature is in there. So we will be able to correct that once that data comes through. Because I think that the community stuff, I think definitely counts. I think like within the server, I don't know that I would count that. Okay, so control privacy. Be aware of the Discord spaces you choose to participate in. You can choose what spaces to participate in and what information you add to our services. You can choose what messages to send and post, who to engage with, example, one or more particular users or potentially unlimited groups of users, what information to include in your profile, whether to connect with any third-party services to your Discord account, and more. For example, if you share content in certain spaces, such as servers listed in server directory with public invite links, your content may be accessed by anyone. Customize your personal Discord settings. We offer a number of settings that allow you to tailor your experience within Discord. Some of these relate to specific features. For example, you can choose whether to display your current activity, like the game you're playing or the music you're listening to, in your status in your user's settings page, this gear icon next to your username. You can also access privacy-related settings in your user's settings. For example, you can decide whether to filter potentially explicit content, who can add you as a friend, and more. This is also where you can limit certain types of processing of your information. Limit our ability to use your data to improve our services. We offer certain settings that allow you to limit the information we collect to help us understand how users use our services, what features or products they may want, or to otherwise help improve our business. If you turn off these settings, we will stop collecting and using new information about how you use and or navigate Discord in order to understand and improve our services as described in these settings. They only mention new information, so they'll still totally use the old information. limit our ability to personalize Discord for you. We offer certain settings that control whether and how we may personalize Discord for you, such as offering you relevant recommendations for in-app content and features or delivering relevant sponsored content. If these settings are disabled, we will no longer use information specific to your account to power features that personalize Discord for you as described in these settings. You can learn more about other privacy-related settings in our Help Center or in the User Settings menu within Discord. The default and availability of some of these settings may be different depending on factors like your age or location. Disable or delete your account. You can disable or delete your account via the User Settings menu. Disabling your account stops the processing of new data but allows you to reactivate your account without interruption to you. Deleting your account permanently deletes identifying information and anonymizes other data described in our data retention policy. You can learn more about how to delete your account in this Help Center article and how to disable your account in this Help Center article. Manage your account and servers. You may edit or delete specific pieces of information within the services. You can edit or delete any messages you have sent or content you have posted if you still have access to the space where you posted it. That's interesting. So if you get kicked from a server, your data could stay there in theory if they choose not to delete your information, which is fascinating. That would be one of those cases I'd assume you could reach out to their support to get that deleted. But yeah, that's really something to keep in mind. Like, do be careful about what you share and where you share it, because it could genuinely remain permanent. That's really interesting. You can edit or delete a Discord server if you have permissions needed to do so, and you can edit or delete a channel from Discord server if you have the permissions needed to do so. Content may be retained by Discord for use as described elsewhere in this policy and in our data retention policy. Also, in limited circumstances, we may have legal obligation to retain certain information even if you delete the information on your account. Access your information. If you want to see what information we've collected about you, you can request a copy of your data in the data and privacy section of your user settings. I literally just did this a couple minutes ago. It's super easy. You should do it. You will receive your data packet within 30 days. Data is delivered in commonly digital formats, including JSON and any other file format used when you uploaded attachments to the service. You can learn more about how to access your information in our Help Center. International data transfers. We are based in the United States, and we process and store information on servers located in the United States. We may also store information on servers and equipment in other countries depending on a variety of factors, including the locations of our users and service providers. These data transfers allow us to provide our services to you. By accessing or using our services or otherwise providing information to us, you understand your information will be processed, transferred, and stored in the US and other countries where different data protection standards may apply, and or you may not have the same rights as you do under local law. When transferring data outside the EEA, we use standard contract clauses, Module 1 and Module 2, and we rely on the European Commission's adequacy decisions about certain countries as applicable or other legally compliant mechanisms or conditions for such data transfers. Discord and its US entities / subsidiaries, Backgammon Merger Sub 2 LLC, Brazos Game LLC, Discord International Incorporated, Flame Sub LLC, and Centropy Technologies Incorporated also comply with the EU, US, and Swiss-US data privacy frameworks, as well as the UK extension to the EU-US data privacy framework. If you have questions or complaints regarding our compliance with the data privacy framework principles, you may reach to us at privacy@discord.com. If we do not resolve your complaint, you may submit your complaint in accordance with the section titled Settling Disputes Between You and Discord in our Terms of Service. Under certain conditions specified by the data privacy framework principles, you may also be able to invoke binding arbitration for you to resolve your complaint. We are subject to the investigatory and enforcement powers of the U.S. Federal Trade Commission. In certain circumstances, we may be liable for the transfer of personal data from the EU, Switzerland, and or the UK to a third party outside those countries. In compliance with the EU-US DPF and the UK extension to the EU-US DPF and the Swiss-US DPF, Discord commits to cooperate and comply, respectively, with the advice of the panel established by the EU Data Protection Authorities, DPAs, and the US Enforcement Commissioner's Office, ICO, and the Swiss Federal Data Protection and Information Commissioner, FDPIC. With regard to unresolved complaints concerning our handling of personal data received in reliance on the EU-US DPF and the UK extensions to the EU-US DPF and the Swiss-US DPF. For more information about the Data Privacy Framework principles and to view our certification, please visit the U.S. Department of Commerce's Data Privacy Framework site. I didn't even look into that this week. I meant to do that. In order to learn more about the specific rights you may have regarding the international transfer of your personal data, please consult the relevant standard contract clauses or adequacy decisions, or reach out to us at privacy@discord.com. The rights listed under Exercise Your Rights will always apply regardless of whether your data is transferred or not. Services offered by third parties. We allow third-party developers to build certain features or other services and offer them within the Discord services, or to incorporate certain Discord-powered features or functions into their services. For example, server administrators can add bots created by a third-party developer that provide features like content moderation and interactive games. Similarly, you may have access to your Discord friends list or managing capabilities in third-party games or activities built by third parties offered within the Discord services. If I'm reading that correctly, third-party games and activities have access to your friends list and messaging capabilities. That's fascinating. Please keep that in mind. If you are using games or activities, in theory, that developer has access to your friends list. These third-party services need to follow all policies that apply to them, including often our developer terms of service and developer policy. As part of these policies, we require developers to have a privacy policy that makes it clear what they do with your information. Please review these privacy policies. Jeez. Okay, hang on. So when you go into Discord and it's shouting in your face to do an activity, do they present you with the privacy policy before you click that activity? Is that a thing? Because if they're asking you to review the policies before you interact with them, that's messed up. That's crazy. Okay, so I'm just going to share this really quick. Look at this. So access to your username, avatar, and banner, the servers you're in. Remember, so there's a good chunk of data here. Send you direct messages, paint happy little trees. I hate how cutesy that is. That drives me nuts personally. I'm going to click cancel. They do link to the privacy policy right there. So that is good to know. And so I agree. Please review the privacy policies that you were presented to do so. I respect that. I can appreciate that. As they describe what third-party services may do with your information, we also require that certain popular apps apply for access to certain data. But because these services are operated by third parties, we don't control them or what information they collect. What? It is up to you whether you participate in a server or other spaces that use apps, and whether to engage with third-party services in general. Data protection officers. You can contact Discord Netherlands BV Data Protection Officer at dpo@discord.com. We've approved VeriSafe as Discord's representative in the UK for data protection matters, pursuant to Article 27 of the UK General Data Protection Regulation. You see the Contact Us section below. You can contact VeriSafe only on matters related to the processing of your personal data. Information about local privacy laws. Certain locations, such as the European Union's General Data Protection Regulations, GDPR, Brazil's Lei Geral de Proteção de Dados, and California's Consumer Privacy Act, CCPA, to require services to provide information about the information they collect, how they use it, and the lawful basis for processing it. We've described most of that already in earlier portions of this privacy policy, but you can find state and region information disclosures here. We already looked at that. Exercising your rights. As described in the How to Control Your Privacy section above, all of our users have control over their information and can directly edit or delete information from their account and limit what data we process. If you are located in certain regions, including the European Union, you may have additional rights, such as those listed below, as outlined in the state and region-specific information and disclosures that you can exercise through the Discord app directly or by contacting us. You have a right to access your personal data, a right to rectify your personal data if it is incorrect. Sometimes it's nice to give them incorrect data. Right to erasure of your personal data, right to limit the processing of your personal data, right to the portability of your personal data, right to object the processing of your personal data, right to withdraw consent. Withdrawing consent does not affect the lawfulness of processing based on the consent before withdrawal. If you have information about these rights or wish to exercise control over your information, please reach out to privacy@discord.com. Changes to this policy. We will update this privacy policy from time to time. We'll always indicate the date of the last changes were published. If the changes are significant, we'll provide more prominent notices as required by law, such as emailing you or highlighting the changes within the service. Like I said, I don't remember getting a pop-up for this one, so I'm assuming it was pretty minimal. contact us. So this is just all of their contact information related to your rights, which I'm not going to read all those out because it's just a bunch of numbers and addresses. So there you go. That's it.